Welcome back to the channel. We have just had it announced that the Mafia Trilogy is a thing, and I'm going to tell you right now, before we get into this video, do not go and pay money for this trilogy. I'll explain why I believe that, but I highly recommend you do not pay for it. Look at the price on the screen. This is 50 quid, £50 to buy this trilogy. And I'll tell you one thing now, when you buy a trilogy, or if you watch a movie that has a trilogy, you've got 1, 2 and 3, are you going to start at number 3? Are you going to start at number 2? No, you're going to start at number 1. And what have they gone and done with this trilogy? Definitive edition for number 2 and number 3 are available right now. When does number 1 come out? The end of August. We are literally having to wait 3 months. I'm not purchasing this. I'm not giving them my money because I know exactly what they're going to do. You're going to purchase this game or this trilogy for £50. And apparently, according to this, we'll scroll down and have a look quickly. Pre-purchase bonus. There is no pre-purchase because it's available right now. It literally, as soon as they announced it, it's available. But you pay £50, you get definitive edition of number 2 and number 3, and let me just tell you this, number 3, like everyone has told me is the worst of the Mafia games, barely has a change from the standard edition of the game. So you can go to G2A, CD Keys, or the dodgy key sites, you could probably pick up Mafia 3 for about 8 quid, or a tenner, or something like that. If you want to play it, just play the standard edition of the game, because definitive edition doesn't look any different at all. Number 2, I've never played number 2 or number 1. They probably do, well, number 2 looks a little bit better because there's nothing on number 1 at the moment. So what I reckon they're doing is they're charging you 50 quid, you get definitive edition of number 2 and number 3, which is the wrong fucking order to do that in. When you have a trilogy, you want to start at the beginning, that's the whole point of a trilogy. But what they're doing is, you pay 50 quid, you get number 2, you get number 3, and then the end of August, when they release number 1, it's going to either be really broken, or it's not going to look anywhere near as good as what it's supposed to be, or something like that, and they don't care. They won't care, because they already have your money. That's simply all this is. Instead of announcing, we're working on Mafia 4, we have been for a couple of years, or we fully remaster, because everyone said, over the Saints Row 3 remaster and the Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 remaster, everyone was excited for this because they didn't think it was just a visual upgrade. And not only that, it's not just a visual upgrade, unless you have the higher end of the consoles, so the Xbox One X or the PS4 Pro. Look at this is on the Xbox Store, HDR10 4K Ultra HD. The Xbox One is not compatible with 4K gaming. You have to have the Xbox One X. HDR10 is not a function on the Xbox One. So if you want to play these games at 4K, you need to have an Xbox One X or a PS4 Pro. You cannot do it with the normal consoles. So they've sold it as 4K remaster. It's only that if you have the higher end of the consoles. You literally get Mafia 2 and Mafia 3 definitive editions, and they don't actually look that good. From the leaked screenshots, which looked amazing, they are nothing like that. They've simply just had the same graphics overhaul that every other remaster in this world gets. And I want to put a little bit of perspective behind this. I was going to do a separate video for this, but I thought I'd tie it into this because I was so excited for this trilogy. I've never played 1 and 2. I played a little bit of number 3, but I loved the Mafia sort of scene. I loved playing Godfather when I was younger, and I love all that sort of stuff. So I was going to go through number 1, then number 2, then number 3, if that was going to be the case, but obviously it's not. Number 1 doesn't come out for 3 months. I'm not waiting that long, and I'm not feeding them 50 quid. There is no way. So let me put a little bit of perspective as to why 50 quid is an absolute rip-off for this. Bearing in mind, you only get 66%. You get 2/3 of the content that's actually a part of this trilogy. So games on the Xbox 360, they used to cost £40, and they would release in a complete state. On the Xbox One, they now cost £60 for standard edition of games. And ever since this live service bollocks, it feels as though we've been beta testing. SnowRunner come out full of bugs. Division 2 full of bugs. Breakpoint full of bugs. Red Dead full of bugs. The list goes on. There's bugs in Call of Duty. There's bugs in Borderlands. They're everywhere. So it feels like we've been beta testing. Season passes used to cost about £20. They now cost 35 or 40 quid. Fallout 76, and I watched Angry Joe, and this is it's the only way I know about this, but Fallout 76 has a Fallout First membership, which is going to cost you £100 a year, which doesn't seem too bad because it's over a year, but it's £100 extra on top of you paying, if you've got it at launch, £60 for the game. They are now releasing a battle pass. That's the part that I found out from Angry Joe. I knew about Fallout First, but they're now releasing a battle pass for Fallout 76. And some of you are going to say, well, that battle pass is free, but they've only stated it's free for the first season of the battle pass, or season pass, whatever they want to call it. They haven't stated about future passes, but it's going to be based on microtransactions because every single thing is within gaming now. And I know this doesn't directly connect to the Mafia Trilogy. You're paying 50 quid for something that's incomplete. Like, it doesn't make a difference to anything at all. Like, you're literally getting number 2 and number fucking 3. There is no Mafia 1 in there. It's not a trilogy. It's a duo. And it's just, like, I probably shouldn't have tied the monetization stuff into here, like the in-game monetization, because Mafia doesn't have microtransactions as far as I'm aware. But it's just bollocks. I didn't want to make the separate video, and that's why it's in this one. But carrying on with Fallout 76, you can buy tier skips. They're going to cost about £1 each, just like you can in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So if they don't make enough money from that microtransaction, then they're going to start charging for these passes. So if you're not feeding them your money, they're going to start charging you even more. And then developers are trying crazy stuff like what they did with the culling, and they're charging you money for every single fucking match you want to play. And now look at Assassin's Creed Valhalla, that's £100 for the Ultimate Edition. I know a lot of games have Ultimate Editions that cost around £100, but the point here is that Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to be available on Xbox Series X through Smart Delivery. The game's still running at 30 FPS. We're paying like £500 for a brand new console with tech that Epic are claiming is better than a high-end gaming PC, and it's running at fucking 30 FPS. Like, developers couldn't get any more lazy at this stage, and it's starting to take the piss. Everyone as a gamer, as a community, needs to put a stop to this stuff. It's an absolute joke. Because Xbox Series X, chances are when that comes out, your games are going to cost £80 for a standard edition. They'll probably put the price up because they know people are going to feed into it. And I know everyone says, oh, don't pre-order games, and I still pre-order the games, but it's part of my job to do that. I get paid to play games. And even though I get paid to play games, I am not paying to play Mafia Trilogy. It's just not happening. I would have loved to have done it, but I'm not paying for number 2 and number 3. I want to start at number 1. That's where I wanted to start. And then carrying on, Borderlands 3. At launch, it cost, I think, it was £90 or £95 I paid for it for the biggest edition of the game. That's now £105. It actually went up in price after the game launched. EA, years ago, I don't know if many of you know this, but they started trying to charge players to buy ammo in one of their games. And EA have also come out and said that they will not be using Smart Delivery, so whatever you buy on Xbox One, if it's re-released on the Series X, you need to pay for that game twice. You have to pay for your game twice. Again, how it happened from the 360 to the Xbox One is going from the Xbox One up to the Series X. And I want to put some context, I want to put it into perspective how far £100 will get you. Me and my family, me, my partner, so my fiancé and my 2 children, £100 would buy us 10 days, roughly. Sometimes it goes quicker, sometimes it lasts a little bit longer, but on average about 10 days worth of fucking food shopping. I can feed my family for 10 days for the price of one game's biggest edition. So, this £50 for an incomplete trilogy that doesn't include the first game and that doesn't actually look that great graphically, I will not be paying my money. And if I could, if there's one good thing I could ever tell you from having this YouTube channel, is do not give 2K Games your money for this incomplete, stupidly fucking thought of trilogy. And I mean, it didn't even come from them themselves. IGN were posting the trailers for these definitive editions. Why do IGN have rights to the trailers when 2K Games have their own YouTube channel? They created the game, yet IGN are the ones posting about it. There's a lot of dodgy stuff within this. And some of you are going to disagree, but I can strongly recommend you to not buy this. I do not recommend buying this game one bit, because 50 quid for an incomplete trilogy, you could just, even though it's not going to be as nice graphically, I mean, I'm sorry to break it to you, but not everything is based on graphics for gaming, you could just go and buy the separate editions of the games that were made years ago, play through the exact same story, and it's going to save you a lot of money. But on that note, I know I've rambled about in-game monetization. It's just because the whole idea of so much money, like, put it this way, Fortnite, for the mobile version alone, has generated over $1 billion in microtransactions. Gaming in the first 3 months or 4 months of this year, I think it's 3 months from January to March, gaming has seen in the US alone nearly, I think it's $10.7 billion being spent on this stuff. And I'm not saying don't spend your money on games. Just make sure, because money is hard to come by. People have to work for their money. Some people are out there, or a lot of people, are out there doing 40 hours a week, grafting and grinding and getting stressed and doing a full-time job outside of the world of YouTube and the internet and gaming. They're doing that to provide for their families, and then all of this stuff comes out and they think it's okay to charge this amount of money for stuff that's incomplete. But I'm going to leave the video there. I'm not going to drag it out for too much longer. I just wanted to get my point across and not do it across multiple videos. So I want you guys to let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments. Do you believe I'm right to say what I have, or do you have a different view on it? Let me know your opinions and stuff. But that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.